High in the remote northern mountains of Vietnam, shrouded in swirling mist and ancient legend, lies the enchanting region of Sapa. Here, the clouds drift lazily over jagged peaks, and the valleys below are often hidden from view, creating a landscape that feels both mysterious and timeless. Sapa is a place where nature's beauty is matched only by the richness of its cultural tapestry. This breathtaking landscape, with its endless emerald rice terraces carved into the mountainsides, is home to the Hmong people, an ethnic minority with deep roots in these hills. For generations, the Hmong have shaped the land, coaxing life from the steep slopes and building vibrant communities that thrive in harmony with nature. Their connection to the earth is evident in every terrace and every field, a testament to their resilience and ingenuity. The Hmong culture is rich with color, music, and tradition. Women wear intricate, hand-embroidered clothing that tells stories of their ancestry, and festivals fill the air with laughter and song. Yet beneath this surface of beauty and celebration, there is a hidden pain, a dark secret that has haunted these mountains for generations. It is a tradition that has stolen the dreams and futures of countless young girls, leaving scars that are often invisible to outsiders. Life in these remote villages revolves around family, agriculture, and the passing down of customs from one generation to the next. Every day, families gather to prepare meals, tend to their crops, and share stories by the fire. The rhythm of life here is dictated by the seasons and the land, and tradition is the thread that binds the community together. Marriage, often arranged and occurring at a young age, is seen as a cornerstone of Hmong life. It is a rite of passage that marks the transition from childhood to adulthood, celebrated with elaborate ceremonies and gatherings. For many, it is a time of joy and hope for the future, but for some it marks the beginning of a life shaped by choices not their own. However, beneath the surface of these celebrations, a deeply rooted and troubling practice persists: bride kidnapping. This custom, passed down through generations, is often discussed in hushed tones among families and elders. It is a subject that divides opinion within the community, with some defending it as tradition, while others quietly question its place in modern society. Bride kidnapping is often justified as a cultural rite, but in reality it masks a harsh truth, a reality of coercion, fear, and forced marriage. For many young girls, it means being taken from their families, their education, and their dreams, with little say in their own futures. The emotional toll is immense, leaving many to struggle in silence. As a filmmaker who has spent time in these villages, I have witnessed firsthand the impact this tradition has on the lives of young women. I have listened to their stories of hope, heartbreak, and resilience. Their courage in sharing their experiences is a testament to their strength, and it compels me to bring their voices to a wider audience. Through their experiences, we can begin to understand the complexities and devastating consequences of bride kidnapping. By listening to these girls, we not only honor their stories, but also shine a light on a tradition that must be questioned and ultimately changed for the sake of future generations. Bride kidnapping is often portrayed as a harmless, even romantic tradition. In popular stories and even in some films, it's depicted as a playful ritual, one where a young man, smitten with a girl, steals her away, and after a few days the two families come together to celebrate a new union. Outsiders sometimes see it as a quaint custom, a relic of the past that adds color to the cultural tapestry of the Hmong people. But the reality is far from this image. Beneath the surface, the practice can be deeply traumatic, especially for the girls involved. The laughter and celebration often mask a much darker truth, one that is rarely spoken about openly in the community. In many cases, it's coercion. Young girls are abducted and forced into marriage without consent. These girls, some as young as 13 or 14, are suddenly torn from their families and thrust into a life they never chose. The emotional toll is immense, and the scars can last a lifetime. The process often begins with a young man identifying a girl, sometimes after only a few brief encounters. He may watch her from afar, learning her routines and waiting for the right moment. Then he enlists friends to abduct her. The act is often planned in secret, with the help of close companions who see it as a rite of passage or a show of loyalty. Once taken, she faces immense pressure to agree to the marriage, often through manipulation or force. The girl may be isolated, unable to contact her family, and subjected to emotional or even physical coercion. Families may resist, but fear of stigma and social pressure often force them to accept. In small villages, reputation is everything, and families worry about being ostracized if they refuse the match. Older generations argue it preserves culture, insisting that it's a way to maintain Hmong identity and ensure the survival of ancient customs. They tell stories of how their ancestors followed the same path and how the tradition binds the community together. But these arguments ignore the fundamental rights of these girls. The voices of the young women are often silenced, their hopes and dreams set aside in the name of tradition. The cycle of gender inequality and abuse continues under the guise of tradition. As the world changes and new generations question old ways, the Hmong community faces a difficult choice: to honor the past or to protect the future of its daughters. Di was a bright 12-year-old who dreamed of finishing school and becoming a teacher. During the Hmong New Year, she caught the eye of a young man from a neighboring village. He pursued her, but Di politely rebuffed his advances. One evening, as she walked home, he and his friends ambushed her. Di was dragged onto a motorbike and taken to his home, her pleas ignored. Her parents searched desperately but met resistance from the young man's family. Tradition and societal pressure began to weigh on Di's family. The young man's family insisted that Di's refusal brought shame, demanding her family accept the union. Di's parents were torn between protecting their daughter and upholding tradition. Refusing the marriage could bring shame and ostracism from their community. In Hmong culture, a girl who refuses after being kidnapped is often stigmatized for life. The weight of these expectations falls heavily on young girls like Di. They are taught to be obedient and uphold customs, their voices often silenced. Di's parents struggled between love for their daughter and fear of social repercussions. The obligation to tradition clashed painfully with their desire to protect her. While Di's story exposes the horrors of bride kidnapping, there are other dangers that haunt the lives of young girls in northern Vietnam. In the Misty mountains of Sapa, the threat of being taken from your home is a constant shadow, lurking just beyond the familiar paths of daily life. Another threat looms even larger: trafficking across the border into China. The border, winding through rugged terrain, is both a lifeline and a risk, separating families but also providing a route for traffickers to slip through unnoticed. China's gender imbalance, the result of decades of social policies, has fueled a ruthless trafficking trade. The demand for brides is so high that criminal networks have flourished, preying on the most vulnerable. Girls from impoverished communities like Sapa, where opportunities are scarce and families struggle to survive, are especially vulnerable. Many dream of a better life, but that hope can be twisted into a trap. Cam, just 16, was lured by a stranger online. He promised her a good job in China, a chance to help her family and escape poverty. Trusting his words, she agreed to meet him, believing her life was about to change for the better. But instead, she was drugged and sold as a bride to a man she had never met. Her dreams of a new beginning shattered in an instant, replaced by fear and isolation in a foreign land. Thiên, even younger at just 13, faced a different betrayal. Her own family, desperate for money, sold her to a trafficker. For many families, the choice is agonizing. Poverty leaves them feeling powerless, and traffickers exploit that vulnerability. Thiên was forced to marry a man twice her age, a stranger in a distant village. She was expected to become a wife and mother before she was even old enough to understand what that meant. Her life became one of forced labor and abuse, with no chance to return home or continue her education. Every day was a struggle for survival, her childhood stolen away. These are not isolated incidents, but part of a much larger pattern. In villages across the region, girls disappear, and families are left with unanswered questions and broken hearts. For many girls in northern Vietnam, this is a chilling reality. The fear of being taken is woven into the fabric of daily life, shaping their futures and their dreams. The porous border and lack of opportunities make girls easy targets for traffickers. With few resources and little protection, they are left exposed to unimaginable risks. Traffickers exploit desperation, turning the hopes and dreams of young girls into nightmares. For Cam, Thiên, and countless others, the promise of a better life became a trap from which escape is nearly impossible. Poverty is a harsh reality for many families in Sapa. Limited access to education and opportunity traps them in a cycle of desperation. Traffickers prey on this, offering families money in exchange for their daughters. They lure girls with promises of jobs and a better life, but these are lies. China's gender imbalance has created a black market where girls are treated as commodities. The true cost is not just money, it's stolen childhoods and enduring trauma. The exploitation of girls like Cam and Thiên is the real price of this trade. Despite the challenges, there is hope. Girls like Dai, Cam, and Thiên refuse to be silenced. Dai's teacher intervened, contacting authorities and women's rights groups, leading to Dai's release. Cam escaped captivity and now works with anti-trafficking organizations, warning others. Thiên managed to contact her family, who sought help from authorities. Efforts are underway to bring her home. These stories highlight the critical role of education, awareness, and community support. When girls are empowered and communities mobilize, lives can be saved. Education is a powerful weapon against harmful traditions. Educated girls are empowered to make informed choices and resist exploitation. In Sapa, teachers and NGOs work to provide girls with access to education and confidence. Poverty and traditional beliefs still force many girls out of school. Overcoming these barriers requires addressing both economic and cultural factors. Empowering women within the community is crucial. By challenging gender norms and advocating for girls' rights, they can help build a more just society. The fight against bride kidnapping and trafficking is far from over. It requires collaboration from governments, NGOs, and communities. We must challenge harmful norms, provide economic opportunities, and ensure girls know their rights. Law enforcement and cross-border cooperation are essential to dismantle trafficking networks. Most importantly, we must listen to survivors like Dee, Cam, and Thiên. Change requires a shift in attitudes and beliefs, but by working together, we can create a world where every girl is free to choose her own destiny. The journey is long, but the destination, a world where all girls are free to dream, is worth fighting for.